Have you ever left a glass of fruit juice on the table for a few days and noticed that it started smelling strange? Or wondered why people all over the world have been drinking alcohol for thousands of years? Here's the surprising part. Humans didn't invent alcohol on purpose. It was one of history's biggest accidents. A simple mistake made by nature completely changed human civilization forever. It influenced celebrations, religion, trade, medicine, science, and even politics. But how did it all begin? Let's travel back thousands of years to discover how humans accidentally created alcohol. Long before cities, farming, or written language existed, our ancestors lived as hunters and gatherers. Every day, they searched forests for fruits, nuts, roots, and clean water. Life was difficult, and finding enough food was never guaranteed. One day, something unusual happened. Some ripe fruits fell from trees and stayed on the ground for several days. As the fruits became softer and sweeter, tiny living organisms called yeast, which are naturally found in the air and on fruit skins, began feeding on the fruit's natural sugar. During this process, the yeast produced alcohol and carbon dioxide. Of course, early humans had no idea that microscopic organisms even existed. All they knew was that these fruits looked different and smelled unusual. Curiosity has always been one of humanity's greatest strengths. Instead of avoiding the strange fruit, someone eventually decided to taste it. The fruit was softer, sweeter, and had a completely different flavor. After eating enough of it, something unexpected happened. They started feeling warm, relaxed, happier, and maybe even a little dizzy. Their movements became clumsy, and they laughed more than usual. Imagine how confusing that moment must have been. They had eaten fruit many times before, but never experienced anything like this. Without realizing it, they had just consumed naturally fermented fruit, the first accidental alcohol. What's even more fascinating is that humans weren't the only ones discovering alcohol. Even today, many animals accidentally get drunk by eating fermented fruit. Monkeys, elephants, birds, bats, and even some deer have been seen behaving strangely after eating fruit that naturally fermented on the ground. This suggests that alcohol has existed in nature for millions of years, long before humans ever appeared. Nature created alcohol first. Humans simply discovered it. As thousands of years passed, people slowly began noticing a pattern. Whenever sweet fruits or honey were left untouched for several days, they changed in the same way. Some became fizzy, smelled different, and produced the same relaxing feeling after being eaten or drunk. People still didn't understand fermentation, but they learned through observation. They realized they could recreate this mysterious drink simply by leaving certain foods alone. This was one of the earliest examples of humans learning through trial and error. Around 10,000 years ago, humans began farming instead of constantly moving from place to place. They started growing grains such as wheat and barley. One day, someone accidentally left wet grains sitting in a container. Natural yeast landed on the grains, and fermentation began once again. The liquid that formed became one of the world's earliest beers. No laboratory, no scientific equipment, and no recipe, just another lucky accident. Over time, people learned that if they repeated the same process, they could produce the drink whenever they wanted. What started as an accident slowly became a skill. Beer soon became much more than just a drink. In ancient civilizations like Mesopotamia and Egypt, beer was considered an important part of daily life. Clean drinking water was often difficult to find because rivers and ponds could carry harmful bacteria. The brewing process involved boiling water and fermentation, making beer safer to drink than contaminated water in many situations. Workers building giant monuments, including the pyramids, were sometimes paid with bread and beer. Alcohol had become part of the economy. At nearly the same time, people living in areas where grapes grew naturally made another incredible discovery. Grapes contain a large amount of natural sugar, making them perfect for fermentation. If crushed grapes were left inside clay pots, the juice slowly transformed into wine. Once again, nobody planned to invent it. Nature did all the hard work. Humans simply realized they could repeat the process. Soon, wine became an important part of religious ceremonies, celebrations, and royal feasts across many civilizations. As centuries passed, different cultures created their own alcoholic drinks using whatever ingredients were available nearby. Rice became the base for sake in Japan. Honey was used to make mead in many ancient societies. Potatoes eventually became vodka in Eastern Europe. Sugarcane helped produce rum in the Caribbean. Agave plants gave birth to tequila in Mexico. Every region had its own accidental discovery that eventually became part of its culture and identity. Interestingly, alcohol wasn't used only for celebrations. Ancient doctors believed it could reduce pain, clean wounds, and preserve medicinal herbs. Before modern hospitals existed, alcohol became one of the earliest medical tools available. It also helped preserve liquids and extracts for longer periods. Although medicine has improved dramatically since then, alcohol played an important role in early healthcare. Eventually, scientists finally uncovered the secret behind this mysterious transformation. They discovered that tiny living organisms called yeast consume sugar and produce alcohol and carbon dioxide in a process known as fermentation. What had once seemed like magic was actually biology. Understanding fermentation opened the door to modern food production. Today, the same scientific process is used to make bread rise, produce yogurt, create cheese, brew beer, ferment wine, and manufacture many other foods enjoyed around the world. Today, alcohol is a massive global industry worth hundreds of billions of dollars every year. It plays a role in celebrations, traditions, restaurants, tourism, and entertainment. At the same time, excessive alcohol consumption can lead to addiction, accidents, liver disease, and many serious health problems. That's why learning about alcohol isn't just about understanding history. It's also about understanding responsibility. Something that began as one of humanity's greatest accidental discoveries reminds us that every powerful invention can bring both benefits and risks, depending on how people choose to use it. So the next time you see a glass of wine, a bottle of beer, or hear someone talking about alcohol, remember this incredible story. Thousands of years ago, nobody planned to invent it. There were no scientists, no factories, and no recipes. A few forgotten fruits, some invisible yeast, and human curiosity were enough to create something that would change civilization forever. Sometimes the biggest discoveries in history don't happen because someone is searching for them. They happen because someone is curious enough to ask, what happens if I try this? If you enjoyed learning something new today, make sure to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the Explainly for more amazing stories about history, science, and the surprising origins of everyday things. Every week, we uncover fascinating facts that make you see the world differently. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.